Hey everybody, Vincent with Barco, coming to you from Seoul, Korea, and I'm here to talk to you about user keys. To prepare for this, I've launched a simulator and I've added two screens, an HD screen and a 4K screen. I've also added two generic HDMI inputs. Let's head over to the programming page and take a look at this. Here I have my two HDMI inputs on the left, and over here on the right, I have the user key tab. Think of a user key like a treatment. It is a file that can save the parameters of a layer or an aux to be recalled later on any layer or aux. Additionally, you can bind them to sources as well as apply them from outside toolset. For example, you can apply them using external device stuff like controllers or any third-party software that you would use to control an event master device. Below us, here in this tab, we have all of the parameters that the user key can save. In fact, we give you the option to pick and choose which parameters you save to the user key. We can select all or select none by selecting this Enable All type checkbox here. The parameters include position, size, mask, type, etc. In the interest of time, I'll present the definitions on screen. You're welcome to pause the video to review them at your convenience. Today we're going to use position, size, border, and shadow. Below that, we have the creation mode. I like to ride with rename and lock checked. If you've seen our other video about presets, I fully explain the creation mode there. Below that, we have the save to new user key and the overwrite user key buttons. If we had a layer selected, then we could save whatever parameters we wanted to in that user key. And then, if we wanted to change them, we can overwrite the user key with different settings in the parameters. Additionally, we have our user key tab here where all of our new user keys will populate. And then we have the same handles that we see on presets where we can delete, search, reorder, we can create new folders or move to folders. And finally, we can lock and unlock all of them at the same time. Now, I'm not going to go through what each one of these does. They're pretty self-explanatory. So let's get into a demonstration. All right, let's bring out HDMI input number 1. We're going to drop it into layer 1, and we're going to bring that layer 1 out. Now, as soon as I did that, you see the Save to New User Key window button illuminated blue. If I were to hit the Save to New User Key, it would record all of those parameters. I do not want to do that though. All I want to do for this first demonstration is create a user key that saves this position and size to be recalled later. In order for us to get the proper position and size, I've got to do a little magic here. So let me align this, and let's go into our position and type in plus 350, and that's going to shift the pip 350 pixels to the right. We're going to go back into our user key with our position and size checked. We're going to hit Save to New User Key, and I'm going to call this Left V Center. Notice that it allowed for a rename, and it locked itself automatically when I finished. Thanks, creation mode. Okay, let's do the same, but this time let's right justify, and let's move the pip over a little to say minus 350. So my two pip locations are equidistant from the center. We'll save this. We're going to rename this user key right V Center. Now I can drag and drop these onto a pip window, or I can select and hit apply selected. Furthermore, I could go into the controller and hit the controller's button to apply the user key. Next, I want to make a user key that also records border, and I want to make a user key that records shadow, and then I want to make a user key that records both no border and no shadow. To do that, I'm going to take this layer. I'm going to go into the layer settings. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to click hard, and then I'm going to change the value to border 20. And I'm going to go back in to my user key tab. I'm going to deselect the position and size and just select border and click Save to User Key. I'm going to call this border 20. Alrighty, now let's go back in and add a shadow to our pip. We're going to hit Enable. Let's shut off our border. we're going to go 105, tab 105. We're going to hit enter. So we've got a little bit of a shadow here. We're going to go back into the user key tab and we're going to deselect our border, reselect our shadow, hit save to new user key, and we're going to call this one shadow 105. Now I have a shadow applied to that layer. So now maybe I want to add the border to it and have only the border, right? Or I want to add a shadow and have only the shadow. Well, by me dragging and dropping those or applying those user keys to that layer, you'll notice that it did not remove the border when I used the shadow user key, and it did not remove the shadow when I used the border user key because they're additive, not subtractive. One of the ways to get rid of a border and a shadow quickly is to create a user key that observes both border and shadow in the off position. First, we'll make sure these parameters are not selected and with everything turned off. Okay, let's select border, shadow. Let's hit the save to new user key button. And so we rename it no border, shadow. For this demonstration, I'm going to add the border and shadow back as well as drop the pip into its final position. From here, I'll bring out layer 2 and I'll drop it in. And then I'll apply that left V center user key. Apply the border, apply the shadow, and there it is. At no point did I ever make or adjust layer 2 to be on the left side in a very specific position or side, nor did I ever adjust layer 2 to add a border or shadow. But because of the user keys that I had recorded and recalled, I was able to quickly activate those parameters on that specific layer. Now you might come back and say, hey, that border shadow, that's not the look we're going for here. Not a problem. I have a user key that will remove both border and shadow very quickly. Before we wrap up, let's quickly talk about external device control as well as utilizing these user keys on different sizes of screen desks. First, let's look at the controller. I have the controller open here on the right-hand side, and I want to focus on the 4K screen desk here on the left. Over here on the controller, we have the 4K screen mapped to the second button here in the destination selector. We can see the 4K screen that I'm working on is active. Let's clear both of these layers. Now with our 4K screen selected, let's bring up layer 1. Let's assign a source and let's align it left V center. And let's apply border and shadow. Let's take layer 2, apply HDMI input number 1. And let's do right vertical center. And let's apply our border and shadow. At this point, we could potentially record this look into a preset, but the show caller came back and said, hey, I don't like that border and shadow. Let's go ahead and remove it. So here, I'm going to select no border shadow, go to layer 1, no border, no shadow, and then I have a look worthy of recording into a preset. Now, I hope you can all see that with a little bit of programming, a little bit of prep work, you can create all these user keys as building blocks for your programming. Now, we mentioned destinations of different sizes. These user keys were created with a 4K screen. So remember when I said that these were very parameter specific? Well, if I went over to my HD screen, selected that, and then deselected my 4K screen, and I took and said, hey, layer 1 come out to play, but this time I want to put HDMI input number 1. I don't want to do a border or shadow, but I want to apply right V center for this. Well, look what happens. It disappeared, right? Technically, it didn't disappear. What it did was it went to its exact parameters recorded in the user key that we saved from a 4K screen. So all of those user keys that I made were size and position specific. Generally, I'll try to keep those organized by different screen types or different screen sizes using folders. So maybe I'll have a folder in my user keys that will be all my 4K destinations. I'll have one that will be all my HD destinations. Okay, one final takeaway. Your user keys are extremely parameter specific. Alrighty, so head out, experiment with those user keys, and have fun. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to us at Encore3 at Barco.com. Thanks, and take care.